Ezra chapter 1 King Cyrus of Persia lets the Jews go back to Jerusalem to build the temple. Cyrus returns the vessels of the house of the Lord taken by Nebuchadnezzar. Chapter 3 The altar is rebuilt, regular sacrifices are reinstituted, the foundations of the temple are laid amid great rejoicing. Chapter 3 The altar is rebuilt, regular sacrifices are reinstituted, the foundations of the temple are laid amid great rejoicing. Chapter 4 The Samaritans offer help, then hinder the work. The building of the temple and of the walls of Jerusalem ceases. Chapter 5 Haggai and Zechariah prophesy, Zerubbabel renews the building of the temple, the Samaritans challenge the Jews' right to continue their building work. Chapter 6 Darius renews the decree of Cyrus to build the temple, it is finished and dedicated, and sacrifices and feasts commence again. Chapter 7 Ezra goes up to Jerusalem, Artaxerxes provides for beautifying the temple and sustains the Jews in their worship. Nehemiah chapter 2 Artaxerxes sends Nehemiah to Jerusalem, Sanballat and others oppose Nehemiah in rebuilding the walls and gates of Jerusalem. Chapter 4 The Jews' enemies seek to prevent them from rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem, Nehemiah arms the laborious and keeps the work progressing. Chapter 5 Many Jews are in bondage to their fellow Jews, at Nehemiah's direction they are freed, their lands are restored, and the taking of usury is discontinued. Chapter 6 Sanballat engages in intrigue against Nehemiah and the building of the wall, the Jews finish the construction of the wall. Chapter 8 Ezra reads and interprets the law of Moses to the people, they keep the Feast of Tabernacles.
July 27th to August 2nd, I am doing a great work. The Jewish people had been captives in Babylonia for about 70 years. They had lost Jerusalem and the temple, and many had forgotten their commitment to God's law. But God had not forgotten them. In fact, he had declared through his prophet, I will visit you, and perform my good word toward you, in causing you to return, Jeremiah chapter 29. Verse 10 For thus saith the Lord, that after 70 years be accomplished at Babylon I will visit you, and perform my good word toward you, in causing you to return to this place. True to this prophecy, the Lord made a way for his people to return, both to Jerusalem and, more importantly, to their covenants. And he raised up servants who accomplished a great work, Nehemiah chapter 6 verse 3 And I sent messengers unto them, saying, I am doing a great work, so that I cannot come down. Why should the work cease, whilst I leave it, and come down to you? A governor named Zerubbabel oversaw the rebuilding of the house of the Lord. Ezra, a priest and scribe, helped the people turn their hearts back to the Lord's law. And Nehemiah led the rebuilding of the protective walls around Jerusalem. They met opposition, but they also got help from unexpected sources. Their experiences can inform and inspire ours because we too are doing a great work. And like theirs, our work has much to do with the house of the Lord, the law of the Lord, and the spiritual protection we find in him.
Ideas for learning at home and at church. The Lord inspires people to accomplish his purposes. After Persia conquered Babylonia, the Lord inspired the Persian king, Cyrus, to send a group of Jews to Jerusalem to rebuild the temple. Ezra chapter 1 King Cyrus of Persia lets the Jews go back to Jerusalem to build the temple. Cyrus returns the vessels of the house of the Lord taken by Nebuchadnezzar. Note what Cyrus did to support the Jews in this important work. How do you see the Lord working through men and women around you, including people who are not members of his church? What does this suggest to you about the Lord and his work? Isaiah chapter 44 verse 24 Thus saith the Lord, thy Redeemer, and he that formed thee from the womb, I am the Lord that maketh all things, that stretcheth forth the heavens alone, that spreadeth abroad the earth by myself 25 that frustrateth the tokens of the liars, and maketh diviners mad. That turneth wise men backward, and maketh their knowledge foolish 26 that confirmeth the word of his servant, and performeth the counsel of his messengers, that saith to Jerusalem, Thou shalt be inhabited, and to the cities of Judah, Ye shall be built, and I will raise up the decayed places thereof 27 that saith to the deep, Be dry, and I will dry up thy rivers 28 that saith of Cyrus, He is my shepherd, and shall perform all my pleasure, even saying to Jerusalem, Thou shalt be built. And to the temple, thy foundation shall be laid.
2 Kings chapter 25 verse 1 And it came to pass in the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th month, in the 10th day of the month, that Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon came, he and all his host, against Jerusalem, and pitched against it. And they built forts against it round about too, and the city was besieged unto the 11th year of King Zedekiah 3, and on the 9th day of the 4th month the famine prevailed in the city. And there was no bread for the people of the land and the city was broken up. And all the men of war fled by night by the way of the gate between two walls, which is by the king's garden. Now the Chaldees were against the city round about. And the king went the way toward the plain 5, and the army of the Chaldees pursued after the king, and overtook him in the plains of Jericho, and all his army was scattered from him 6. So they took the king, and brought him up to the king of Babylon to Riblah. And they gave judgment upon him 7, and they slew the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes, and put out the eyes of Zedekiah, and bound him with fetters of brass, and carried him to Babylon 8. And in the 5th month, on the 7th day of the month, which is the 19th year of King Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon, came Nebuzaradan, captain of the guard, a servant of the king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem 9, and he burnt the house of the Lord, and the king's house, and all the houses of Jerusalem, and every great man's house burnt he with fire. 10, and all the army of the Chaldees, that were with the captain of the guard, brake down the walls of Jerusalem round about. The house of the Lord is a place of joy. When the Babylonians invaded Jerusalem, they plundered the temple and burned it to the ground.
2 Chronicles chapter 36 verse 17. Therefore he brought upon them the king of the Chaldees, who slew their young men with the sword in the house of their sanctuary, and had no compassion upon young men or maiden, old men, or him that stooped for age. He gave them all into his hand. 18. And all the vessels of the house of God, great and small, and the treasures of the house of the Lord, and the treasures of the king, and of his princes. All these he brought to Babylon. 19. And they burnt the house of God, and brake down the wall of Jerusalem, and burnt all the palaces thereof with fire, and destroyed all the goodly vessels thereof. How do you think you might have felt if you had been one of the Jews who witnessed this? Psalm 137. While in captivity, the Jews wept by the rivers of Babylon, because of sorrow. They could not bear to sing the songs of Zion. Notice how the Jews felt, decades later, when they were allowed to return and rebuild the temple. Ezra chapter 3 verse 8. Now in the 2nd year of their coming unto the house of God at Jerusalem, in the 2nd month, began Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel, and Jeshua the son of Jozadak, and the remnant of their brethren the priests and the Levites, and all they that were come out of the captivity unto Jerusalem. And appointed the Levites, from 20 years old and upward, to set forward the work of the house of the Lord. 9. Then stood Jeshua with his sons and his brethren, Kadmiel and his sons, the sons of Judah, together, to set forward the workmen in the house of God. The sons of Henadad, with their sons and their brethren the Levites. 10. And when the builders laid the foundation of the temple of the Lord, they set the priests in their apparel with trumpets, and the Levites the sons of Asaph with cymbals, to praise the Lord, after the ordinance of David king of Israel.
Ezra chapter 6 verse 16, and the children of Israel, the priests, and the Levites, and the rest of the children of the captivity, kept the dedication of this house of God with joy. 17, and offered at the dedication of this house of God 100 bullocks, 200 rams, 400 lambs. And for a sin offering for all Israel, 12 he-goats, according to the number of the tribes of Israel. 18, and they set the priests in their divisions, and the Levites in their courses, for the service of God, which is at Jerusalem. As it is written in the book of Moses 19, and the children of the captivity kept the Passover upon the 14th day of the 1st month. 20 For the priests, and the Levites were purified together, all of them were pure, and killed the Passover for all the children of the captivity, and for their brethren the priests, and for themselves. 21 And the children of Israel, which were come again out of captivity, and all such as had separated themselves unto them from the filthiness of the heathen of the land to seek the Lord God of Israel, did eat 22, and kept the feast of unleavened bread 7 days with joy, for the Lord had made them joyful, and turned the heart of the king of Assyria unto them, to strengthen their hands in the work of the house of God, the God of Israel. That might prompt you to ponder your own feelings about the Lord and his house. Why is the building of a temple a reason to celebrate?
God has an important work for me to do. The Lord's work rarely goes unopposed. This was true of the efforts led by Zerubbabel and Nehemiah. Here's a simple approach that can help you learn from these stories and consider how you can do the Lord's work despite opposition. God's work for Zerubbabel. Ezra chapter 4 verse 3 But Zerubbabel, and Jeshua, and the rest of the chief of the fathers of Israel, said unto them, Ye have nothing to do with us to build an house unto our God. But we ourselves together will build unto the Lord God of Israel, as King Cyrus the king of Persia hath commanded us. All. God's work for Nehemiah. Nehemiah chapter 2 verse 17. Then said I unto them, Ye see the distress that we are in, how Jerusalem lieth waste, and the gates thereof are burned with fire. Come, and let us build up the wall of Jerusalem, that we be no more a reproach. 18. Then I told them of the hand of my God which was good upon me, as also the king's words that he had spoken unto me. And they said, Let us rise up and build. So they strengthened their hands for this good work. God's work for me? Opposition Zerubbabel faced. Ezra chapter 4 verse 4. Then the people of the land weakened the hands of the people of Judah, and troubled them in building 5 and hired counselors against them, to frustrate their purpose, all the days of Cyrus king of Persia, even until the reign of Darius king of Persia 6. And in the reign of Ahasuerus, in the beginning of his reign, wrote they unto him an accusation against the inhabitants of Judah and Jerusalem 7. And in the days of Artaxerxes wrote Bishlam, Mithridath, Tabeel, and the rest of their companions, unto Artaxerxes king of Persia, and the writing of the letter was written in the Syrian tongue, and interpreted in the Syrian tongue. 8. Rehum the chancellor and Shimshai the scribe wrote a letter against Jerusalem to Artaxerxes the king in this sort.
Ezra chapter 4 verse 9. Then wrote Rehum the chancellor, and Shimshai the scribe, and the rest of their companions, the Dinates, the Aphasathkites, the Torpelites, the Aphasites, the Archavites, the Babylonians, the Susankites, the Dehavites, and the Elamites 10. And the rest of the nations whom the great and noble Asnapar brought over, and set in the cities of Samaria, and the rest that are on this side the river, and at such a time. 11. This is the copy of the letter that they sent unto him, even unto Artaxerxes the king, thy servants the men on this side the river, and at such a time. 12. Be it known unto the king, that the Jews which came up from thee to us are come unto Jerusalem, building the rebellious and the bad city, and have set up the walls thereof, and joined the foundations. 13. Be it known now unto the king, that, if this city be builded, and the walls set up again, then will they not pay toll, tribute, and custom, and so thou shalt damage the revenue of the kings. 14. Now, because we have maintenance from the king's palace, and it was not meet for us to see the king's dishonor, therefore have we sent and certified the king. 15. That search may be made in the book of the records of thy fathers. So shalt thou find in the book of the records, and know that this city is a rebellious city, and hurtful unto kings and provinces, and that they have moved sedition within the same of old time. For which cause was this city destroyed. 16. We certify the king that, if this city be builded again, and the walls thereof set up, by this means thou shalt have no portion on this side the river. 17. Then sent the king an answer unto Rehum the chancellor, and to Shimshai the scribe, and to the rest of their companions that dwell in Samaria, and unto the rest beyond the river, peace. And at such a time. 18. The letter, which he sent unto us hath been plainly read before me.
Ezra chapter 4 verse 19. And I commanded, and search hath been made, and it is found that this city of old time hath made insurrection against kings, and that rebellion and sedition have been made therein. 20. There have been mighty kings also over Jerusalem, which have ruled over all countries beyond the river. And toll, tribute, and custom, was paid unto them. 21. Give ye now commandment to cause these men to cease, and that this city be not builded, until another commandment shall be given from me. 22. Take heed now that ye fail not to do this. Why should damage grow to the hurt of the kings? 23. Now when the copy of King Artaxerxes' letter was read before Rehum, and Shimshai the scribe, and their companions, they went up in haste to Jerusalem unto the Jews, and made them to cease by force and power. 24. Then ceased the work of the house of God which is at Jerusalem. So it ceased unto the 2nd year of the reign of Darius king of Persia. Opposition Zerubbabel faced. Opposition Nehemiah faced. Nehemiah chapter 2 verse 19. But when Sanballat the Horonite, and Tobiah the servant, the Ammonite, and Geshem the Arabian, heard it, they laughed us to scorn, and despised us, and said, What is this thing that ye do? Will ye rebel against the king? Chapter 4 verse 1. But it came to pass, that when Sanballat heard that we builded the wall, he was wroth, and took great indignation, and mocked the Jews too. And he spake before his brethren and the army of Samaria, and said, What do these feeble Jews? Will they fortify themselves? Will they sacrifice? Will they make an end in a day? Will they revive the stones out of the heaps of the rubbish which are burned? 3. Now Tobiah the Ammonite was by him, and he said, Even that which they build, if a fox go up, he shall even break down their stone wall.
Nehemiah chapter 4 verse 7. But it came to pass, that when Sanballat, and Tobiah, and the Arabians, and the Ammonites, and the Ashdodites, heard that the walls of Jerusalem were made up, and that the breaches began to be stopped, then they were very wroth, 8 and conspired all of them together to come and to fight against Jerusalem, and to hinder it. Chapter 6 verse 1. Now it came to pass, when Sanballat, and Tobiah, and Geshem the Arabian, and the rest of our enemies, heard that I had builded the wall, and that there was no breach left therein, though at that time I had not set up the doors upon the gates. 2. That Sanballat and Geshem sent unto me, saying, Come, let us meet together in some one of the villages in the plain of Ono. But they thought to do me mischief. 3. And I sent messengers unto them, saying, I am doing a great work, so that I cannot come down. Why should the work cease, whilst I leave it, and come down to you? 4. Yet they sent unto me 4 times after this sort, and I answered them after the same manner. 5. Then sent Sanballat his servant unto me in like manner the 5th time, with an open letter in his hand. 6. Wherein was written, It is reported among the heathen, and Gashmu saith it, that thou and the Jews think to rebel, for which cause thou buildest the wall, that thou mayest be their king. According to these words.
Nehemiah chapter 6 verse 5. Then sent Sanballat his servant unto me in like manner the 5th time with an open letter in his hand. 6. Wherein was written, It is reported among the heathen, and Gashmu saith it, that thou and the Jews think to rebel, for which cause thou buildest the wall, that thou mayest be their king, according to these words. 7. And thou hast also appointed prophets to preach of thee at Jerusalem, saying, There is a king in Judah. And now shall it be reported to the king according to these words. Come now therefore, and let us take counsel together. 8. Then I sent unto him, saying, There are no such things done as thou sayest, but thou feignest them out of thine own heart. 9. For they all made us afraid, saying, Their hand shall be weakened from the work, that it be not done. Now therefore, O God, strengthen my hands. 10. Afterward I came unto the house of Shemaiah the son of Delaiah the son of Mehetabeel, who was shut up. And he said, Let us meet together in the house of God, within the temple, and let us shut the doors of the temple, for they will come to slay thee. Yea, in the night will they come to slay thee. 11. And I said, Should such a man as I flee? And who is there, that, being as I am, would go into the temple to save his life? I will not go in. 12. And, lo, I perceived that God had not sent him, but that he pronounced this prophecy against me. For Tobiah and Sanballat had hired him. 13. Therefore was he hired, that I should be afraid, and do so, and sin, and that they might have matter for an evil report, that they might reproach me. It is opposition Nehemiah faced. Opposition I face.